in the gutters line of business, average tickets 2,000, 3,000. The first few months, we took every job. We took jobs that were $500, and those were, as you can imagine, 10 times the headache of a $5,000 job. So I actually shared a few posts that went kind of viral about exactly our process, and most customers don't care. They care, is the price right? Are you guys licensed? Are the reviews great? And at the end of the job completion, does it look good?
Are you plugged into their Service Titan and their sort of dispatching? Like, talk to me about tools. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the ShareWillow podcast. My name is Ryan Shank, founder of ShareWillow. Today, super excited here with Alex Borkin of Elevate General Construction. Alex, how's it going?
It's going well, Ryan. Thank you for having me on.
Your microphone sounds great. So
Thank you.
that's awesome. Tell us about Elevate. I know that's the umbrella company, if I'm not mistaken, but tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah, of course, and stop me if I'm going too long. So, Elevate General Construction, which is a name my partner chose, I'm not too happy about it, but essentially what we've done is we've created now 6 lines of consumer-facing business brands, from
Sure.
turf to roofing to gutters, and they operate in a very unique way. On the consumer side, they see an individual company. So our gutter line of business is Coastline Gutter Pros. Our fence company is LA Fence Experts. So customers see one line of business, they call thinking they're calling a fence company. On the back end, we have a shared back office, shared finances, shared operations. And then on the execution side, where you go out there and perform the service, we have a pretty heavy subcontractor model where we've partnered with a local gutters company, we've partnered with a local roofing company, we've partnered with a local fencing company, etc. And so we actually don't have any labor on our books. It's just operations and marketing, and that's how we operate the business.
So I know you don't like to position it as a lead gen company because you're more than just a lead gen company. Why does that bother you? Is there a stigma with lead gen companies? Yeah, how do you feel about that?
There's a huge stigma on both the consumer side and the business side. On the business side, if you are in this space and you have a local service company, you're nonstop bombarded by marketing companies calling to sell you leads. They're never great, and so we
Hmm.
we we actually explore this as an option, and we didn't want to just sell leads to companies that were going to be unhappy with them and also not do a great job. On the consumer side, we don't find it great to fill out a lead form and then have your information sent to 20 companies, of which none are the ones you expected. And so we thought we could find something in between where we actually manage the entire process from start to finish. We work with one group of subcontractors so we know the quality of the work. And the consumer, the actual homeowner, works with us only.
Got it. And before we go, so I have so many questions because this is incredibly fascinating. I think, and we'll get into those questions, but give us an idea of the scale of the business. I'm looking at one article on Workbench. Maybe you'd mentioned it was 800K annual run rate. I don't know if that was for a business or whatever. Give us an idea of the scale that you're running between all of the different brands.
Yeah, so I actually grabbed some numbers earlier. I'm looking at my notes here. So the first line of business that we started, and the one that's the most mature, is the gutter installation company. That one we started last September. Took us a few months to get things off the ground. And then we had 2 months of being suspended with our Google business profile, which really hit us back. As of today, if our yearly run rate will be about 650 if things continue the way they have been through August. If we have the same busy October, November, December when the rain season hits in, I think we'll be north of 850.
Got it. Okay. And that's just one of the companies. So firstly, congrats.
Thank you.
You don't have to itemize every single one, but like the rest of them combined, where's the like kind of totality of the
Correct. Yeah.
holding company?
So the rest of them combined are probably equal to just the gutter line of business. I did some numbers today. We're looking at, if we just keep this run rate, the rest combined will be at 750. We just added a roofing partner, and I think that's
Hmm.
going to really skew those numbers. I'll give you an example. We just had an RFP out for 88,000 today on just one roofing bid that was approved. So I think once we start getting more roofing jobs, it'll be a much higher skewed number. The other ones, I think, They don't have the advantage of the gutters company where we spent the first 6 months just building that. And then those we began building, in February, March, and we began building five at a time. So I think we maybe bit off a bit more that we can chew there, but they are slowly ramping up in terms of marketing and organic growth.
What's the thought process in having them under different brands? I know a lot of home service companies, they're keeping it under one brand and then they're sort of adding additional services that then they can, increase average ticket size and sort of, sell and keep that same trusted brand. I think, arguably if you have different brands, you like have to then gain their trust for that new brand as well. What's the thought process there?
Right, and that's a great question. We haven't had that issue, and so I'll go step back. The thought process is this: we thought that we would work at dominating the local maps organic rankings. That's how we thought we would approach this business. And so what we learned is that when a customer wants a new fence, they do not type in general contractor, they type in fence company near
Of
me.
course. Of
When
course,
they
yep.
want a new roof, they type in roofer near me. So what we found is it was easier to get six different points on the map and each one be a unique brand than it was to have just one point on the map that says general construction. So that's the approach on the consumer side. And then what we found is for most jobs, once we've completed a fencing job or a roof job or anything else, our team asks the homeowner, by the way, we're a general contractor. Is there anything else you need? And once they see one great job, they're willing to allow us to bid on more projects. I don't think they care that it's not the exact same brand name. In fact, when they get the invoice or when they send a check, it goes to the same brand name anyways. Most consumers don't care.
Got it. Um, and that's so when you sub, like, I don't know if do you consider it subbing out? You like sub out the jobs? Is that how I should describe it?
Yeah, so yes and no. We have the same group we work with, so we do not rotate subcontractors. Before we open any new line of business, we establish a partnership with one specific group. They might use some subcontractors, but we work with one group. So one group for fence, one group for roofing. We've hired a few employees under our umbrella to help do some basic cleanup and demo stuff to
Yeah.
save on cost, but otherwise we do sub out the majority of the work.
And obviously, like if you sub the fencing work out, you sub it out to like a fence company, right? Like, is there an issue where like they think they're coming through, your fence company, then like another one shows up? Like what is the brand
Yeah.
consistency and all of that?
Most people don't care, and I could be wrong. But from our experience, we've never had a question where we've had a homeowner say, do they work for you or are they subcontractors?" We gave all of our subcontractors, and I've got to be very careful here because California has very strict labor laws. We gifted all of our subcontractors shirts with the company brand, and if they want to wear them,
We gave them a loan.
yeah, we dropped them off and said, if you guys happen to find these, we
They
gave them
found
shirts.
they found branded shirts. It's the craziest thing. Yeah, okay.
Exactly, and we can't encourage them to wear them. I think they do. For the most
Totally
part, they do.
optional.
Yeah,
Totally
and so
optional with
I
a wardrobe of one.
correct. Yeah, and so I think that is a nice ad. Most customers don't care. They care is the price right? Are you guys licensed? Are the reviews great? And at the end of the job completion, does it look good?
So you're in California. You obviously just went into roofing, 88K estimate bid that's outstanding right now. Um, does California have the benefits of this insurance game like Florida does, like Texas does, where you can either have a direct, customer pays versus insurance pays? I think it's a claim. So it's like, do you do claims? Do you have all that like with roofing, or are you sending bids to customers who are going to pay themselves?
A bit of both. The group we operate with, they mainly do work directly.
Okay.
The working through insurance is a headache. It is nice they do pay out, but getting there is a headache. We're not opposed, so we're marketing directly to customers, and however they approach us and however they want to pay, whether through insurance, we will find a way for that to work.
Got it. So I actually know a few businesses that they, your call it call center, your inbound, CSR team, sort of. So they see a call as from this channel. this brand, hey, this is, fence, whatever fencing, or it's like they see it's over here, hey, this is whatever roofing, but it's like them almost like white labeling it. I actually used to work for
Correct.
this insurance company. They basically it was a warranty company actually, and they would white label for like Walmart, the Walmart product protection, or the Best Buy, Best Buy thing, and it's one call center that would then like white label their answering service, so it would be like branded that brand. So it sounds like that's what you're doing, but like obviously on like a kind of SMB basis.
That's exactly it. We have, at this point now, we are hiring a fourth person. So we have three full-time CSRs that are answering phone calls from 8 to 8 for all the different lines of business. And they're not just taking leads and handing them off. They're then setting appointments. They're there coordinating. So they're a bit more than just a call service. They drive the lead from start to finish.
And what kind of systems are they plugged into? So obviously, if you have, subcontracting companies, but I guess if you're just working with one, you probably have decent insight into actual availability by technician. Like what are you using? I guess firstly for answering service and call center. Are you plugged into their Service Titan and their sort of dispatching? Like, talk to me about tools.
Yeah, so this one I think we could do a lot better on, and it is a bit of where we have the most disconnect. So our tools are pretty straightforward. We use OpenPhone as our phone system and allows us
Shout
to
out
have
OpenPhone. They sponsored one of our newsletters. Shout out Daria.
OpenPhone's
Yeah.
OpenPhone's great, and she's like active on Twitter and will
Oh, dude,
answer
she's
someone's
awesome.
question.
I met her
She's great.
at a conference. I met her in at what's that conference? Main Street Summit in
hmm
Missouri. She was just like in the cafeteria, like just hustling. I'm like, you're like a big company,
They're a big company, yeah. They're worth
Yeah,
millions, and she's like answering support tickets on Twitter. It's great. So
she's dope.
OpenPhone is great, and we have, the 6, 7 phone numbers, and so whenever the correct one, the one rings, our team knows like this is going to be a fence conversation. That's great. We use Trello as our internal CRM. It's set up with all of the automations we need. I think we might be switching to Go High Level. There is a headache that I don't want to go through, which is like the switching to a new CRM. The disconnect comes in when we need to schedule an actual as installation, since because our subcontractors do not work for us, we don't have as much insight to their schedule and the calendar. This is how we approach it. A customer says, "Hey, I'm ready to move forward. When are you available?" We say, "Give us a few days when you're available, and we'll get back to you within 12 hours." They give us
Yeah.
a few times and dates. We immediately reach out to our subcontractor team. Do any of these work for you? 9 out of 10 times, one of those dates do work. We immediately reach back to the customer and say, "You're booked for this day." Occasionally, all the dates options are booked, and there's some back and forth. We never go more than 24 hours without being able to confirm an installation.
Got it. And for that installation, are you is the first trip like a salesperson or an estimator? Obviously, like the first trip, they don't know what the customer. So from my understanding, and again, it might be different in fencing because I kind of more know it in like HVAC and plumbing, but like they go to the house and it's usually a
Correct.
replacement, and then usually they give them like sort of a good, better, best, and then the customer chooses. So like, are you sending and dispatching salespeople or estimator as the first person?
Correct. Yeah. So the first thing is we schedule an estimate. We try to run really lean. And again, this might be not the approach to build this into a, $100 million business, but I'm optimizing for time right now, and so I have a different
Mhm.
approach. We operate very lean. Most estimates we can give over the phone. For a fence job or a roof job, there's enough tools we can see a backyard, get very accurate measurements, and
Love that.
over
Love
the
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea is we hit them with a number. If they go, "That's completely way too high," we're probably not sending somebody out there. It's a waste of time. If they go, "This makes sense," we still want you to come by and actually look at our backyard, look at our roof. There's some unique issue here. Then we send out one of three people. So either my partner will come out, he'll go and do a few estimates a week, or we have two project managers that work for us internally, and they just go out, confirm measurements. They're not in a sales role. And I go back and forth between having somebody in sales, maybe we can upsell, maybe we could charge a higher amount, versus just being direct, being like, "Here's our pricing model. I think we're aggressively priced. No one's getting a commission," and that helps us close more.
So I just did an interview last week with this guy Tim. He owns Urbis HVAC. 70 employees, $18 million in revenue. Um, and one of the things that he said was his differentiator, especially in the beginning, was firstly just providing a price up front. Everyone gatekeeps their price, which, as you know, as a marketer, uh, it probably kills conversions, if people can't see it and then convert, right? Or at least convert to the next step of the funnel. But then the other thing that he was saying that he does is he has like there is something of value of the actual technician doing the sale. He's like, because a lot of times they're just like a salesperson, like they actually don't know that much, or it's like even more frustrating. You call into just like a call center and they're just like just doing admin. They can't really answer anything and all of that. So I wonder if like you do gain some respect from the customer, some efficiency, some conversion, points, right? Of like providing sort of like more knowledge, more pricing up front, more transparency.
I think so. I mean, in the gutter zone of business, average ticket's 2-3 thousand, which isn't that high, but we've
Do people,
closed. Go
sorry,
ahead, sorry.
do people, so firstly, I didn't know that. That's high. That's good.
That's good.
High in a good way. And so can you replace part of your gutter, or like if you have to replace something, you have to do it all? Like, can I just do like a little snippet of my gutter?
Right. So you can. The way we approach it is one of two ways. One is we will not warranty the entire house, meaning if we have to connect new gutter to old gutter, we cannot warranty any part of the job. And two is if unless you had them installed at different times, if you have one gutter that's old and needs to go, most likely the entire house. The only time there's an exception if there's a storm and a tree fell on one side of the house and knocked down one gutter, then of course we'll come out and fix just one.
It's like a one-off because of this, not like wear and tear.
Correct.
So I bet that's an objection then. Sounds like that was a very, like you've heard that objection before. So is that like one of the most common objections?
Of course, yeah. And it's like the first 3 months of the good run of business, I took every phone call, which is not the most efficient way to grow this thing, but I wanted to know because this is like me moving
You
into
have
this,
to. Yeah, I think you have to in the beginning.
especially because my background isn't in local services. My partner has been in this for 20 years. He's amazing. I could barely change a light bulb. And so I wanted to understand what these phone calls were like, what kind of questions were asked. And then we, of course, boiled that down into a science and then train our team. And so, yeah, the first 3 months of phone calls, I wanted to hear every objection.
What so one, I'm curious where you look, like where's your service area? Like what towns?
So, yeah, so we're in Los Angeles and we kind of do the greater LA area, as south as Long Beach, as north as maybe Santa Clarita, as east as Pasadena, Alhambra, San Marino. But I mean, LA is huge. There's enough
Yep.
work in LA.
So when you were getting those calls, did you what were some of the learnings about just gutters in general? Were these all single family homes? Were you like, holy crap, we're getting calls from businesses? Were you like, then am I commercial? Am I residential? Like just give me some of the learnings. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the very first one is we were priced incorrectly. So the way we approach the gutters line of business is we have one group of subcontractors. They operate 3 crews, 6 guys, 3 vans, and these machines that make gutters are very expensive. They operate 3 of them, and we negotiated with them preferred rates. And I'll share the numbers. We pay $7 a foot. That includes material and labor. They mentioned to us, and my partner confirmed that he believed we can sell them for 25-30, which is a huge margin. And we spent a lot of money on marketing the first month to learn that we were well overpriced. After a month of having a lot of good leads going out to give estimates,
Overpriced selling at 25 to 30, you mean?
correct, yeah. We called around. So this is why this is one thing I wish I had done earlier and that we've done with every new line of business is we then called 3 or 4 companies in our area, got them to either give us a over the phone quote or come out themselves. We figured out that pricing is more 14 per foot. Still a huge margin, but so the first learning was getting pricing down. I don't think we're the cheapest, one of the most expensive. We're kind of right there in the middle, and we're very
Yep.
aggressive, and we have room to go down. The second thing is the first few months we took every job. We took jobs that were $500, and those were as you can imagine, 10 times the headache of a $5,000 job. So we really, over the first few months, learn how to be more selective with our jobs. And the third thing is managing subcontractors. In our experience, if unless we had a lot of lessons learned the hard way where we didn't clearly articulate, here's how things. I'll give you an example. A lot of jobs in the first few months, the customer would come out and say, I actually changed my mind. Can you do XYZ and change it to these colors? And our subcontractor would go ahead and make those decisions, complete the work as needed, and then let us know that he's now billing us extra. We'd go to bill the customer, and they'd say, I was never told that there was a change order. So now we have very clear expectations. If a customer comes out, because we're not there on site, if a customer comes out, a homeowner comes out and they say, I want to do XYZ, they're told, call the main office, work out with them, and then they'll tell us what the change order is. So a lot of things like that is we learn on the job the first few months.
That's yeah, that's incredible. What did you learn from the homeowners? Just in terms of, like, for instance, like, this isn't something that people buy often, right? So like, what were their concerns? I know in other industries, it's like it's such an unknown. Maybe it's scary. They don't purchase this often. Is there, are they? What do they care about? What were their questions? What's their timeline? Are they like, I need this fixed now? What's the impact it's having? Sorry, these are just like things I'm thinking about, because also, like, I think there's just tons of learnings in here when you start to hear what the homeowners are saying. So what were those learnings?
Yeah, great question. And it's different for every line of business. And the ones that are easier to sell are needs. If you're calling for gutter installation, you need gutters. It's not an aesthetic decision. It's not a we have some extra money, let's redo a nice gutters. Those are much easier to sell. It's usually somebody who has a leak, or they know that rain season's coming up and they have a leak, and they're really just looking for somebody with quality reviews, aggressive pricing, and quick response rate. That's kind of what we're going for. For
Quick
the
question about
Go
the
ahead.
leak. If a gutter leaks, does it leak externally, or is a gutter leak going into the home?
Both. Both,
Okay,
depending
okay.
on what the leak is. Some gutters are also built into the fascia, and those are a challenge because now they have drywall, now they have mold. Those phone calls are very much, how soon can you guys get here?
Yep, of course.
But
Sorry,
to answer your
keep going.
question, then
Yeah.
for the other lines of business, I think we've had, like, for turf, for paint, those are more wants, right? You want to repaint your house. You really don't need to. You want to install turf. Those are a bit more challenging. I think we haven't really cracked. I think those would benefit from, and we had a few people, like I called a few turf companies, a few paint companies to come out to my house and give me an estimate. And they have a much more thorough sales process where they're really selling you on the before and after, think of how
Hmm.
much nicer it'll look. And we don't do that. I think those do require a bit more of a traditional sales approach.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I watch some of these. Now it's like cool to be in the trades. These like YouTube videos of these kids going around knocking on doors and like selling, more like window washing. But it's like I
Correct.
hear how they do it, and it's like it's kind of like such an art. Like, oh, I'm gonna do
It
this window
is.
top to down. It's like kind of beats. As a sales guy myself, I'm like, oh, he fucking
I
killed
know.
that.
I had somebody come out a few weeks ago, young guy knocked on my door, probably in his early 20s, to sell pest control, and he was great. I also have a sales background, and so I can appreciate a good sale. And I almost wanted to buy the service just because I was like, "This is great! Like, you did an amazing job." Unfortunately,
Hmm.
I know that I'm going to be overpaying, so I have to say no to you. But don't change. I was like, "Don't change any part of your sales call. It was perfect."
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's funny. I think sales guys are the easy people to sell. We're either the easiest or the hardest. One, we like will just get into defense mode because we're like, I know what you're doing, or you're like have so much empathy that you're like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I'm gonna buy.
I appreciate when it's done right. The one that came over to sell pest control really asked questions. I was trying to find, like, what my pain points were. I actually hate when it's done wrong. I mean, I had last few weeks ago we wanted to install a water filter in our house, and I called the company, and they wouldn't send somebody out until I confirmed and promised that my wife would be there for the sales call. And I try to explain, I understand why you do this. We have two kids, they're under two. My wife's busy. I can't have her sit through a 4 hour presentation. I'm the decision maker. Like I'm ready to buy. And they wouldn't send somebody out. So I hate when it's done wrong.
That's so interesting because the spouse objection is probably, I mean, obviously you know why they're doing it, right? Like I got to talk to my wife. The spouse objection is so real.
I
It's
get
funny,
it.
like, yeah, yeah, I understand what, yeah, it's like, but then you're almost like countering that. You're like, that's not gonna be an objection. I
No,
can make the decision, and I'm telling you that now. So if I tell you that as an objection, I'm bullshitting you. You know, you're like,
correct. Yeah. I was very clear. I like looked up your pricing. I'm not gonna have sticker shock. I know what to expect. I just need to hire somebody. They wouldn't send somebody out.
what are some pain points that you have with not having the labor in house with having it, subbed out effectively?
Yeah, I mean that is our biggest pain point, right? We've like solved almost every problem internally. We have SOPs, we have a system for everything. I can't control when a subcontractor no shows, and they know that they're no showing and will avoid answering a phone call for the entire day until they feel ready to have a conversation as to why they no showed. It doesn't happen often, but those are not fun because you feel helpless. And you're calling a customer, they're saying, when can you reschedule? And I have to say, I'm not sure, which doesn't really inspire
No.
confidence. So I think not being able to give our subcontractors very clear, like you have to do it this way or else, because the or else is I can't fire them and we actually do need them. And so that's
That's what I was
tough.
gonna. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, do you feel like they have all the leverage? Like, or could you do, if like any no shows, like you guys are out, I'm going on with the next firm. Yeah, that's
So
kind of feel. Yeah.
early on with our gutter subcontractor, he had two no shows that were just a disaster for us, and we decided to. I'm gonna take a step back. The way we've built our subcontractor network, it's I might have a bit of an unfair advantage. My partner has been a general contractor for 20 years, and so he has a deep network of people in Los Angeles he's worked with for years. And so we
Hmm.
approached those groups first. And that's how we were able to negotiate preferred pricing and preferred scheduling. And so I'll give you a story. When we had, our first few months, our gutters contractor no show twice. I called my partner. I said, he's done. Like, this is insane. We can't build a business around somebody who's not going to show, or at least give us a warning. And so we went out and began trying to recruit, find other subcontractors. We found one, negotiated decent rates with him, sent him out to do a job. Disaster of a job. Quality was garbage. And so it kind of forced our hand to go back to our first subcontractor. I think what's made it easier for this group that we work with to understand that we are a bit more serious than any other job they have is that we do send them the majority of their work, and I think they understand that, hey, this is like don't this is the hand that feeds them.
Yep. Um.
I can't tell you how many times I've walked into out of my office and like my wife's like, I'm just frustrated, angry, and she's like, oh, is it the gutters guy again? The first few months, where I was like, they can't keep doing this to us.
Um. I would imagine you have the thought or the decision making exercise of saying, "Do we bring this in house?" How often do you have that internal debate? How close have you gotten? And do you think you'll ever just get there
Yeah,
to
so
bringing it out?
I'm gonna keep using the gutters line of business as the where I entered this for. We went through this exercise the first few months where we mapped out what it would cost to buy 3 trucks, hire 4 guys full time. You can't hire these guys part time to buy the machines, to get some equipment, and how many jobs we'd have to do per day for how long for the break even point, and then how much more money we'd make. It wasn't that much, and it was a long break even point. And it's nice, during the peak of summer, we've had weeks we only had 2 or 3 jobs scheduled. It's
Mhm.
nice not to have to worry about how do I fill a schedule. And I think that allows us to keep our pricing aggressive is that when we're slow, we're not worried about labor cost. I don't think we'll bring anybody in house for a while unless something changes drastically.
Just to counter that, and just to push back a little bit, like, do you think you're kind of playing it too safe? Like, I think something happens, at least for me, when sort of the pressure's on. We got to figure it out. Like, you're kind of de-risking your downside, but capping your upside. Yeah. Do you think you're playing it too safe?
Absolutely. And like I said, the approach I'm taking is I'm really not trying to, and I could be making a big mistake here. I don't really care about in 5, 10 years selling this thing for a lot of money. We're cash flow positive now. It is a great lifestyle business. And we've set up operations such that I don't need to work 40 hours a week. Again,
Hmm.
that might not be, if I was 10 years younger and had two less kids, I would do things differently. At this point in my life, that's not what I'm optimizing for. We could add on another line of business, book an extra 3, 4 jobs a month, and that adds a ton of revenue to our pockets, and that's with less headache than having to actually build out a roofing company.
That's so interesting. I actually said to someone after my last episode, and I was like, they were like, you need to talk more about the person behind this. And I think I always ask too many transactional questions with this assumption that we're all trying to maximize cash flow. Like, I kind of am trying to grow also myself and like take a step back in the interviewing. And I think I should understand people's goals instead of being like, why wouldn't you want to like get the
I
best
get it.
upside? So
I get
yeah.
it. Yeah. I went through this thought process with like a business coach once where he's like, map out what you would do differently if you were to sell this thing in 5 years, private equity. And then of course there's the biggest thing is bring things in house. And we mapped out how much the potential, how much more money I'd make. I wasn't sold. And again,
Hmm.
I'm not, this might not be the approach someone else should take. Do you know how on Twitter and on YouTube it's very popular that there's these gurus who kind of coach build a remote cleaning business?
Yeah.
I kind of
Dude,
am doing a
I know the guy. Don't say his name, but he did it on Reddit, right? And it was like, I was entrepreneur ride along. That
yeah.
guy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I know you're talking about this is the guy that
Rohan, maybe he's like a black guy, maybe
yeah,
foreign, like European or something.
the guy that does Molly Maids.
Not Molly Maids, but yes, a maid company like that.
Yeah.
And he's built software. I
Software.
actually got introduced to him back in the day. He's incredible, just
Correct.
like kind of one of those like kind of Peter Levels esque guys where he like
Right.
builds in public and does all that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of taking a very similar approach, but maybe do something that's a bit more remote, where instead of I'm building a remote lifestyle cleaning company, I'm building kind of a remote lifestyle home services business. And again, I think the part that will make me change my mind is if we one day lose labor and we have to go back and scramble to find new subcontractors. I don't think in Los Angeles that'd be an issue.
Yeah, there's a lot of the like laws and regulations and stuff there. So don't think that'll be an issue either. So like, you know, why'd you decide to do this? What do you care about? Sounds like you care about hanging with your kids. What do you do? Like what do you do for like the not 40 hours?
Yeah,
Curious.
so great question. I'll answer both questions. I fell back into this. For the past like few years, I've been like reading on Twitter about how everyone's moving into the home service space. And I think Twitter is a little bit ahead of like everyone else. And so I'm like, I have to find a way to get into this.
Yeah.
And the idea I had originally that isn't very creative was I'll just start a marketing agency for home service companies. Everyone does that, and those guys do it much better than me. And for 6 months, I tried that, and we reached out to hundreds of home service businesses and tried to pitch them marketing, and it was a complete
And you know who you
disaster.
get as the clients is the shittiest ones.
The worst ones, the worst
Yeah.
ones. Because like the ones that are like, I'm only paying you for every closed job, and then I'll pay you $100. Like you're paying me $100 for an $80,000 roof job. Um, and so I had a somebody I knew in Los Angeles, my now partner, and I asked him, he's a general contractor. I'm like, how do you sell to these people that are so low tech that they still operate out of a notebook and a pen, and essentially kind of came to the idea that why don't we instead of trying to sell to them, just compete with them? And that's how this idea sprung up. But then to answer your second question, it's like, yeah, I know I live in LA. My parents live nearby. They're retired. I spend a lot of time with them. My wife and I have two kids. They're both one's 2, one's 6 months. We spend a ton of time with them. My wife is at home all day. I get to work at home, so I get to like step out my office for during the day. That to me is way more important.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And I think similarly, I definitely follow the chatter on Twitter. Although I do think I almost am wondering, since I'm so close to the actual home service company customers, I wonder if Twitter is just a little removed from it. Cause like think sometimes again, like they're like, oh, all these owners are looking for someone to transition to. And I'm talking to them, and it's like everyone's buying and no one's selling. No, there's like, no, they're not. So like again, maybe I'm seeing it from a silo, but I'm like, are you guys talking to these guys? Like, do you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
It's like I'm just like confused, or I'm curious if they're just like too theoretical. Like it makes sense in theory.
I
Yeah.
do think Twitter is like directionally correct in that there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity because the people who own these companies, the legacy owners of these home service companies, they are low tech. They are older. They're not great. Their companies, while they operate, are one bad month away from shutting down. But yeah, I don't think there's many great ones to buy.
So I'm also wondering. So I feel like we work with the great ones, particularly the ones that are on like Service Titan, and I would just argue that these guys are like not so low tech because like the ones we work with have like 40, 100 employees. They're doing 20 million top line. They're doing 70 million top line. Like we're seeing like bigger companies in the trades. They all have wrapped vans. They have like big teams, all these different things. So like I think there are the sort of man in a van super mom and pop, which may be what you're referring to, but like we're seeing guys that like they understand Zapier, they understand all this stuff. They're doing custom Service Titan reports. They're using Rilla for ride-alongs. Like, I just wonder if there's just like almost like different types of there's like ICPs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
There
I
is
think maybe
absolutely.
yeah, maybe people who like, the Twitter people are kind of referring to like this one ICP, but it's like, dude, there's a whole world of, a 50 employee HVAC company in Atlanta. The owner makes 4 million cash a year. He flies private. He has like 8 kids, like they're just like all go to private school and the best
Right.
camps. It's like, dude, these guys are printing cash,
Yeah.
from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think people on Twitter think it's all guys in trucks. Like that's the entire industry, and it's not. The thing is, it's still so. I mean, in my experience, most people are not calling some big brand name. They're calling around best distribution and best marketing. And so that's why I think there's still a lot of room in these spaces to be a new company or to buy a small company.
100%. I think, and I agree. And I also just think like the space is so big. Like, there's 800,000 HVAC companies or something like that, or
Right.
whatever the number. There's just a lot. So the space is just so big. All right, kind of getting towards the end here. So I have a couple questions. Like, why go so horizontal and have gutters and all these? I have so many questions actually.
Let's go.
So why not just like go deep on gutters and then like maybe expand service area and just be like, we're gonna be the gutter guy. We know how to talk gutters and just go all in on gutters. Like, why go wider? Especially if you're not able to like cross sell custom. Like maybe you are a little bit towards the end. But yeah, why not go super deep?
We could still go all in. So for a few reasons. One is I'm very hesitant in investing a lot into a line of business where we don't control labor. And so the way we're approaching it is we're trying to capture organic growth. And so for me, if we do 3 to 5 gutter jobs a week, that's great. Could we do 15? Sure. But then I'd
Yeah.
have to focus and so the way I'm approaching is this, our limit probably is 3 to 5 jobs a week for any line of business. Without having to really invest into marketing systems and hiring labor. And so instead of being able to be capped at 5 gutter jobs or 3 fence jobs a week, I'm capped at 3 fence jobs a week, a roof job, 5 turf jobs, a gutter job. It expands. Like I am going, so like I think I am going wide, but that allows me to go deep under the home service umbrella. If that makes sense.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so another question, just randomly, like, are you selling gutter guards? I know that there's a franchise gutter guards. Do you
Yeah,
like do you upsell gutter guards? And then
we do.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. You had two
And then do
questions.
you have like maintenance plans? I know with a lot of these guys, like maintenance plans or like a service contract is very important. Like what are some of the like post sale upsells that you optimize
Yeah.
for?
I think it's been tough to do for every line of business. The roofing line of business that we just began working with, that one I think will be easier. They have a annual roofing maintenance where they come out there, they patch up any holes, they do some cleaning, and that's like $1,000 annual fee, and it's almost all margin. So I think I'm very excited about really pushing that as we go deeper in the roofing business. For the other lines of business, for paint or fence or turf, there's not much you can do. We do upsell gutter cleaning, but it is kind of a as needed. The short answer is I don't think we've done a great job at building a recurring revenue stream for any line of business.
Got it. Okay. This is awesome. This is super interesting. I think, it's refreshing to see a different take. I think, I do a lot of these interviews, a lot of, especially with the successful guys, a lot of these guys have a lot of commonalities. So it's kind of cool to see you sort of approaching it from a different angle. I think it also makes it maybe more approachable to break into it instead of having to like compete with the vans and the wraps and the branding and waiting 8 months for your Google profile to
Right.
show up, right? So it gets you in the game quickly. Where can people find you?
I'm
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I'm on Twitter. That's I spend way too much time there. I actually like last week shared a few posts that went kind of viral about exactly our process, and then I saw today somebody just tagged me that they started a gutter company in their hometown following our blueprint, which is kind of exciting. Like I hope he does really well.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, I think stuff like that makes it's like fulfilling. Um, that's really cool. I love to see that. Well, uh, what else? Is there anything else I didn't ask that you think is important to share?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what really got me excited about building is that I spent some time trying to figure out a way to break into this industry, and I spent some time thinking about, buying myself, trying to buy one of these existing companies. And I've talked to a lot of buyers who spent 12, 18 months on the sidelines waiting to buy the perfect company. I think if you're interested in getting in the space and you have an 18 months of runway, you could build a company in 18 months in this space much quicker than spending 18 months hoping to find the right deal. So anyone interested, I would strongly encourage building, not buying.
I think we're super aligned there. I'm like, just start the company
Just
yourself.
start.
Why?
Just start.
It's like
Yeah.
just start it. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Amazing, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. I think this is super super interesting. I learned a lot and really enjoyed the conversation. Guys, check out Alex Borkin from Elevate General Construction, and all of your different brands that they'll learn about from your Twitter and your holding company. So thank you so
Awesome. Thanks,
much.
Ryan. Thank you.